Ooh, welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond the Bank Phillies podcast. I am your host, Pete, here with my co-host, Henry. What is up, my guy?
Finally, 13 years.
Yes, sir.
Job's not finished,
Yes,
but
sir.
13 years in waiting.
NLE's
Wow.
champs, baby. Yeah.
Electric.
And
It was
yeah,
electric at the ballpark, man.
I can't even
Electric. It was
imagine.
amazing.
Can't even imagine.
Uh,
And some suspense at the end, but they got it done. And real quick, I am back. I know this is a little bit of a late celebration for us. I was on a little bit of a family vacay, so we were able to shoot, but it's okay. We can still celebrate a little bit. We have the off day today. But yeah, dude, it was just a crazy week in
yeah.
general
Yeah.
from the Friday with the Mets till up until Monday when we clinched, and
Really up
it's
until
just
yesterday.
right up in for basically, and it was a lot of emotion, and tiring, to be honest with you, as a fan,
Yeah.
because it's just there goes a lot into following along and making sure you're not missing the games and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
know just waiting to that moment for them to finally clinch, and they finally did it. Thank God.
Yeah. It was. I was at work on Monday,
Hmm.
and Gabby texted me, kind of half joking. It seemed like, oh, like you should come to the game. I was like,
Yeah.
I was there. So I was there the last time they won it in
Hmm.
2011. I was there that night.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like I remember recording videos on my iPod Touch. Like I was 12 or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So
Yeah.
like I was like, I feel like I need to be there.
Mhm.
So I went on SeatGeek and I got a ticket for like $50 or something, nothing crazy. It was just like standing room or bleachers or whatever. I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to be inside in the stadium.
Yeah.
Then I found somebody selling a $30 ticket for the 100 level, and I was like, I'll take
Sheesh.
it. Just one. It was a single ticket. They
Yeah,
had
yeah,
somebody drop out of their group. So I was like, I'm fully interested. Like,
yeah.
count me in. And bought it off of them. And I was in section 142 in the last row, which is awesome
Wow.
because I got to stand as much as I wanted because nobody
Yeah,
was
yeah,
behind me.
yeah.
So it was awesome. But dude, like I was hyped the entire game, like the entire time.
Yeah.
And the last inning, I felt like I stood the whole time. I was I stood the whole last inning, I should say.
Yeah.
I was on pins and needles the whole time. They would get it out, and I
Mhm.
would just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like I was just feeling it. And then once they hit the ball to Marsh and it fell out of his glove, I got so nervous because I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Because 142 is in right field or
Yeah.
left field. So I couldn't see him. So everybody cheers, and then all of a sudden everybody just drops. And I was like, what happened? So they showed the replay, and I was like, come on, man, you gotta catch that. And then I was
Yeah, right.
like, am I crazy? Like, we're up 4. Like, let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
finish it out. We'll be fine. And then, yeah, I mean, they hit the ball, and as soon as he caught it, I went nuts. I went absolutely nuts. Nobody was leaving. Like, they were waving the flag on the field, and it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
finally. And it's not what we want to. It's not the last goal. It's not the final destination. But it's nice to happen or nice to have, considering the fact that it's been 13 years.
For sure, yeah, and I mean, well spoken. I mean, and cool experience. Being there. I mean, if I was on vacation, I probably would have went myself, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was awesome to see, like, just watching. I also wanted to hear Kruk and McCarthy make the call and stuff like that, which was cool to hear.
Yeah,
At the moment, at the time when it was like it came down to the ninth inning, I had to step out of a show just to go watch it and make sure like I wasn't in a quiet
yeah,
space
yeah.
before I started celebrating.
Right.
And it's like I'm watching on my little phone, and it's just like every pitch that Estevez was throwing, and I'm just like, you just feel it. It was gonna happen soon. Like the adrenaline was rushing, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, dude, like this is like I need this to happen right now.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just it was cool to see. It meant a lot.
Oh
We
yeah,
the tweet that you sent out, about us and how old we were back when they last won the division, and it's just like it kind of gave you chills down your back because it's think about what we've all been through over the years, and
in between, in
yeah, in
between,
between,
like
yeah, yeah,
I said to Gabby, I was like, the times that I was watching games when we were losing 100 games a
yeah,
season, like then Nola gets drafted, and you're like, "Wow, this is the future." And then Reese gets here, and you're like, "Wow, this is going to be awesome." And then
Yeah,
it still just years of incompetence, and it just wasn't there. And then Harp comes, and then you're like, "We can win the division right now." Then the
yeah,
Braves get whatever they get, which is everything, and they
yeah,
get
yeah.
Acuna, and they have Strider, and they get Matt
Yep,
Olson, and they have a historic run. Like it just the grind. It sounds so like corny and like stupid, but like the grind of watching a team go like from when Howard tore his Achilles at the plate in
yeah.
2011 to Monday night, like
Oh, yeah,
the gap and the misery that happened in between those two things was
yeah.
like wow.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like I think about that too, and I thought about it the whole time. I mean, I'm no joke. It's just like there's times when you're like when I was still kind of young, and after 2011 and going through those years, just going to games like not knowing like do I
With
have
nobody
confidence
there.
with yeah, yeah, exactly. And are
Yeah.
they going to win today? We don't know. I'm just going here to have fun, I guess. But now it's like I'm older, and they have this team, and they're competitive, and they're a winning baseball team. And now I have expectations to where it's like I need to be locked in every night when I watch this game. Like this
Yeah.
is this is no joke to
Yeah.
me because it means a
Every
lot to
night,
me, and I want
every
to see
night
them
you're
win.
like, we need to win.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And yeah, it was a special moment. I didn't cry or anything like that. It was a
No, me
little
neither.
emotional though. It
Yeah.
was just seeing it. It was just like and
There was
hearing
this
you know
disbelief for me.
yeah
Yeah.
hearing Kruk and McCarthy call it was awesome.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
I
it was
can't even
just
imagine.
like you said that the job is not finished. That was the first step, but it was reasonable, and they were deserving to celebrate that the way they did because it's a long season, man. And after the last couple of years with the Braves kind of owning the division, it's like all right, this is new for us, and this is we're back to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great to see, and glad they were able to do it in front of the home fans because I think they were kind of trying to do that. I'm not saying they lost to the Mets on purpose, but
No, but clinching
it's
on your
just
own turf is
yeah,
big.
exactly. So, but yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, and that will transition us into what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do it a little differently. We won't really specifically do a series and review or anything like that. Kind of just do some takeaways, points, and stuff like that, coming from a little bit of the Mets series and then up to kind of yesterday or whatever. Um, the Mets series was a tough one, and I will say the takeaway from that whole series is as much as I hate that team, they're going to be scary in October if they do make it. Um, they're going to probably have some momentum. Who knows, depending on who they face in the first round. And like I said before, I was hoping they were going to clinch on their field, but the bats of their plans, kind of went cold a little
Yeah,
bit. But yeah,
yeah.
it's the Mets team. They could be a little scary, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that scared of them if they weren't playing such good baseball right now, and like I said, they crumble all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, they're the Mets.
for sure.
What are they gonna do? I'm not scared of them that much, but
Yeah.
truthfully, and we'll save this we'll save our playoff predictions and things like that for our upcoming episode.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a different playoff this year, to be honest. But I like our chances against a lot of these teams, so
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. I'm not giving the Mets too much shine. Their pitching lined up perfectly for them. I don't care what they do, and they got lucky as hell when that ball bounced off of off of third base and went
Yeah.
directly to another. That always goes in the outfield. Like
Yeah.
Edwin Diaz with a 6-out close killed me, but
Yeah.
whatever. It is
Did
what
not
it is.
handle it
I
well.
hate him. I hate him.
Yeah, it kills me to the fact that like in that situation this late in the season, excuse me, that the Mets were even still like in this whole thing. Like, and of course we had to deal with it. Like that's what killed me the most. It's just like out of all teams, it's got to be the Mets. Like I'd rather deal with the Braves bullshit than anything else, to be honest with you. And it's just like I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, I hate this team with a like dying passion, bro. Like it's just like I
Well,
can't
that's
do
why
this
they
enough.
do it that way, though.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Everybody's like, well, because we didn't play the Mets since London, and then all of a sudden we played them 6 games in 12 days or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. I hate it.
It
But
is.
then again, it makes for good content. So it's like,
It
or it makes for
does.
good product. So it just kind
Yeah.
of is what it is. But and we're not the only division that happens to anyway. But
No.
like we had the Nationals last, so
Mhm.
pros and cons. But yeah, I mean, I just got my email. My division series tickets are available in my
All
SeatGeek
right.
app.
I'm a little jealous, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Sorry, man.
it's all good.
I was gonna be too distracted. It had to do
Nah,
with the
you're good.
Phils, so
Yes, sir.
but
Yes, sir.
but no, I mean, that's why they do that. It's the
Yep.
division stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm just, I hate the Mets. I
I know.
hate them, and I thought I hate the Braves more than the Mets, but I don't. I just don't. After that series, I don't. I
Yeah.
can't stand them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what? We should have definitely beat them, but obviously the bats didn't really help out. I mean, it's
No,
unfortunate. We wasted another Wheeler performance on Sunday, and the bats did not help. And that's another thing I want to transition into. Looking ahead to October, we'll talk about a little bit here, and then obviously next week. But do we trust that the bats will not go cold in the postseason? We've had this discussion before. It's been brought up, but as we get closer now, it starts to creep into your mind a little bit. It's like are they going to go cold like they did, during the Mets series, when the moment's big, but or are they going to, come out like they did against, the Cubs in 2 games this past series?
I mean that's the X factor, right? Is the
Yeah.
bats. Because you hear a lot of people talk about what's going to be what do you have the most confidence in? I'll ask you, what do you have
Hmm.
the most confidence in going into the playoffs?
Pitching.
Exactly. So it's not in the bats. So
Yeah.
I think that the bats are going to be fine, only because I trust the patterns. If that
Hmm.
makes any sense, like there's a lot of time. I talked about it preseason or
Yeah.
right when we first started. It was since the Phillies always go from bad to good to bad to good, and then
Hmm.
October happens. Can it be the opposite? Can it be good to bad, good to bad? Then now they're on the rise up.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I mean, the last couple games, and maybe it's because they've clinched the NL East. We'll get to it in a second or in a little bit, but they clinched the home field advantage. Maybe that's why they're just playing loose. They're just having
Yeah.
fun. Maybe that's why. But their bats seem to be coming along. Harper, which for whatever reason is swinging like Bryson Stott. I don't know if you noticed that. His stance looks like Bryson Stott's stance right now. I don't know why he's
Yeah.
doing that. But regardless, like I just I think I'm a little more I give the bats a little bit more credit than a lot of people are right now. And that's
Hmm.
not like just to have a different take. I just don't I trust the bats until they give me a reason not to. Now,
Yeah.
granted, last season should have been a reason not to, but
Yeah.
I just this team, I think, and Rob Thompson said it post game a couple days ago or last night or whatever it was. This is the best team they've had since he's been here. So
Yeah.
I trust those guys. I trust the leaders. I trust all that. They're gonna work it out. Kevin Long's there. He knows them all. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah. And I appreciate your confidence, and at the same time, I'm like, I have those thoughts too. Where I'm just like, they're going to be okay. But
Mhm.
I see your point about the whole pattern thing, and to be honest with you, I'd rather not see any type of pattern go on in this postseason. Like the main thing that they need to focus on is that when the time comes when they need to show up and they need to get some hits, like it needs to happen. Like you're not always
Yeah.
going to get leadoff shots by Schwarber in postseason games. You're not going to
Right.
get multiple home runs in each inning. Like there needs
Right.
to be a time and place when they need to come through. And going back to Sunday night's game, because it really stood out to me. When we needed them the most to come through, they weren't
They
coming
did.
through. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's gonna, and that's just baseball. Sometimes it's not always gonna happen the way you want it to. But you know, when it gets tough like that, they need to come through, and that's the main thing that everybody's going to focus on in this postseason. The pitching will be fine. The pitching will do their job. I have confidence in them. It all comes down to if the offense can hold up their end of the bargain, and it's it worries me a little bit. It does. I'm not like just gonna like shoo it off and not pay attention to it because
Right.
it definitely stands out. Like just it's there. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Who knows? It may be a problem. It may not be. So,
And I'm definitely not doing that. So, but I get where you're coming from. I
yeah.
fully understand why people don't trust the bats. I just personally, I I'm worried about a bigger picture as
Hmm.
far as the playoffs. I'm not worried about, well, what's one part of our team gonna like.
Yeah.
Because think about it, if the bats don't go cold, that's all well and good. But what if the pitching goes cold? You never know.
Sure.
Like, you know what I
Well, yeah.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I think people are focusing on the bats a little too much.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. And with good reason, because
Yeah.
considering you came back to Citizens Bank last year with, you know, you were up a game and all
Yeah.
you had to do was win one at home and you didn't,
Yeah.
understandable. But it just kind of is what it is right now. You just do anything you can to stay out of it. That's all.
For sure. And, speaking of the bats, we'll transition to back into the Cubs series. Won't think about the Mets series really. I know we did have a little bit of a discussion in the beginning about clinching NL East, but I'll talk more about the details of the game itself on Monday. You get a homer from both JT and Schwarber, which really set the tone. I feel like anytime it's good to see JT hitting well, and then anytime Schwarber hits a home run, that kind of just like settles everything's down and gets everybody hyped in that game. And come October, we're really going to need those guys on their A game, especially
For sure.
JT. He's a special X factor in that lineup outside of guys like Harper and Turner and Bohm and stuff like that. So I definitely think that's going to be important going into the postseason. And then I want to talk about Nola because I think, and I've heard it multiple times already, that he is the king when it comes to pitching great in games when you need the clinch. And his ERA in those games is a 1.62. And listen, if we get that Nola in the postseason, which we have the last two postseason, but if he can stay consistent again, the team they'll be special and it'll be good to see.
Yeah. And huh, man. I just this debate about who's gonna start game two is gonna be all over the place.
Hmm.
Because it's gonna be home. So Christopher Sanchez is a whole what, 3 runs better at home ERA wise.
Yeah,
Um and Nola, I think, can pitch on the road and at home. It's almost like I only want to put Sanchez there because he pitches so well at home,
yeah,
and Nola can do both. So if Nola couldn't do both, it's all right, Sanchez. Sorry, man. Like you gotta
yeah.
gotta skedaddle. But I think Nola is the best shot no matter what park you're in.
Mm,
I have more of the stats from those. This is from North Coast Toast on Reddit. Since
okay.
2022, Aaron Nola started 7 games. The Phillies could either A, clinch a postseason berth, B, clinch a postseason series, or C, clinch a division title. Nola has posted a 1.62 ERA, just like you referenced, with 8 earned runs total in 44 and a third innings pitched, with 46 strikeouts and 7 walks in those seven
Wow.
games. That is a crazy stat line.
Oh yeah,
Like, obviously, it's tough to do that around a whole season. I understand that, but
yeah,
I mean, that's what you want from your guys to show up when it's needed most.
yeah.
And that's what he does. People give him a hard time. And I tweeted this from my own personal account um when we ended up clinching the division. And this is exactly what I said. I'm gonna read the tweet word for word. Nola was the right guy in the right spot. No one has earned an NL East title more than him. Love him or hate him, he's given us his best over the last 10 years, and to think he almost wasn't a Philly. What a ride this has been.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, you go back to those days where he was the first prospect where we were like, oh, we have a little glimmer of hope.
Yeah,
And then he's just grinding and grinding and grinding in third place, fourth place, third place, fourth place of all the NL Cy Young votes
yeah,
year in and year out. Like, then you get Wheeler to back him up. It's like, it's almost like it threw people off of the scent with Nola because people were like, oh, well, Zach Wheeler's so good. So we don't care if Aaron Nola's good or not. And then when he's
yeah.
bad, they get on him. But to me,
Exactly.
it's like, it's so cool seeing him be the one that got the win in a division clinching game, considering that we haven't won it since before he was a Philly. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
that's the
So
crazy
to
part.
me, that's I know that, but it's wild, but it's true. And like I said, he's given us his best over the past 10 years. He's
Hmm.
Mr. Consistent. He's always there when you need him to start, always, no matter
Yeah.
what. So I wanted to praise him a little bit because a lot of people give him a lot of flack, and like I said, if just to think he almost wasn't a Philly this year is
Yeah.
just people. I feel like I mean I've forgotten about it. Like that extension was big, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and like the number is high and he gets paid a lot per year, but that's what he's done and what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like seeing a guy get paid the way he got paid in the beginning of the season and then clinch the NL East after being here for 9 years prior when he could have
Mhm.
been an Atlanta Brave or a
Yeah,
St.
that's the thing.
Louis
They were talking
Cardinal.
about that.
That's
Yeah,
what
or
I'm
I think it might
saying.
have been
Like,
him. It was like he was like, "Yeah, there was a lot of teams out there," and he couldn't imagine himself pitching as an opponent in Citizens Bank Park come
yeah,
postseason, and
yeah,
talking about being on teams like the Braves. It's like you think about it, like
yeah.
that would have been absolutely terrible to
Them
see.
or the Cardinals or like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
it just it's so cool to see him really come to fruition. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And the last thing left is the trophy. That's what
Yeah.
he needs next. That's
Yeah.
what they all need.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like I said, we know that he's had hiccups here and there, and he hasn't pitched well, whatever. And but listen, like you said, when time comes when we needed him, he comes through. So I mean,
Yeah.
and the stats show it. So
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
needed to
yeah.
clinch,
How you
so
gonna argue with numbers? Like,
exactly.
you know.
So it's what it is. But and then we move into a bullpen arm, which this discussion has come up in the last couple of days. I know you have something to say about it, but it stood out in Monday's game because it got a little rough there at the end. But do we trust Carlos Estevez to pitch well in the ninth inning to close out games? Come postseason, because I mean it. We haven't seen some struggles here and there, but he has been able to come through and close out games. Eventually, but there is some worry there. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find this stat that I saw on Twitter the other day.
Mhm.
Here we go. It's from Tim Kelly Sports. He's one of my favorite Phillies
Yeah.
accounts. Carlos Estevez finishes out the game, but has given up 2 or more hits in 3 of his last 6 appearances. Something to watch with the playoffs coming up. So he throws a heavy ball,
Mhm.
very heavy, but
Yeah.
but it's a lot of hard contact. And so many people talk about the hard contact all the time. It's a lot of hard contact, a lot of balls to the warning track.
Yep.
This is a hitter friendly park, so it probably looks a little worse here at home.
Yeah.
But I just, with a guy like Jeff Hoffman,
Yeah.
I don't like he traded. I don't know, man. It's tough. Like with a guy like Jeff Hoffman, it's almost hard to think of anybody else closing it out.
Yeah.
But that's why you brought Estevez here.
Yeah.
And however the prospects are doing now for the Angels doesn't matter. But what
No,
they
not
were
at all.
doing here, there's a reason that they were such high value. So you traded 2 decently high value prospects for him, and he's going to make a postseason roster. I'm not saying anything like that,
No,
but
yeah.
it's going to get dicey
It
when you
is.
have to have somebody close out a game 3 days in a row. It can't be the same guy 3 games in a row. It can't. No
No.
matter no matter what, no matter if they're the Mariano Rivera or Brad Lidge or whatever, you can't have a guy close 3 games out in a row, and that is where it's going to come in with the bats being cold because as long as you get a good cushion, it
Yeah.
shouldn't. I mean, it matters, but it shouldn't matter all that much, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. And
What do you
that's the
think?
thing. I mean, like with Hoffman, it's like you would possibly like to see him in the ninth instead, but
Right?
he's in a really good spot in that position when it comes to the eighth inning. And if we are
Yeah,
up or something like that, or we just need to get through that inning without giving
yeah.
up any more runs if we have already,
You're
which is
totally right about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to see. And with the Estevez, I feel like it's just, his moment's going to come where he'll hit a little bit of a hot streak where he might be unhittable. And if that comes in the postseason, then so be it. That's good. But like you said, it will be dicey at sometimes. And I know the whole point of, I know they talked about on High Hopes about, if Estevez is this year's Kimbrel. And I don't know if I really want to think about that, and I don't think he is. I would probably take Estevez over Kimball right now, this very moment, if I needed somebody to
Well,
close out a game for
considering
me.
Kimbrel's on the unemployment line, yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, so I just like I try not to think about that thought whatsoever. So you know, I think like I said, it just sometimes you're just gonna be on the edge of your seat, and that's how the baseball game's gonna go. But if there's a time and moment where we could switch that and maybe put Hoffman in the ninth inning, then that could also work as well. I'm not saying you got to pitch Estevez in the seventh, eighth inning because he's not that type of guy.
Right,
But maybe save his arm and stuff like that, and go to guys like Kirk Gring or Strom in the seventh or eighth inning when needed. So
right.
it's just about how Rob sees it, and we got to trust him with that decision that he feels,
Yep.
hey, this guy is going to get the job done tonight, or he might not, unfortunately. So that's the
Yeah.
remains to be determined.
It's I like Hoffman in the 8th inning spot. I agree.
Yeah,
It's just to me, he's doing so well that it's tough for me to be like Estevez is the lockdown guy and that's it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
for sure.
I don't know. It's tough for me.
It is. Yeah. And before we move off of that game on Monday, the clincher, want to talk about John Middleton. I mean, I don't know if you saw, you definitely saw the video of him in the locker room when Rob called him up and they were about to do the champagne and stuff like that, and he told him, he's like, you know, I want my effing trophy back. And then it was kind of just, it went off from there. Like that moment right
Yeah,
there. Yeah. Like that moment right
yeah.
there was just priceless. And Middleton, I feel is very special to the city, to this organization. I mean, he really, they talked about it at one point, but he really went through a lot to get them to this moment. And, you know, we talked about it at the very beginning of the season about, he said that same exact thing to them, I want my effing
Spring
trophy back.
training.
Yeah.
Spring
And
training is what I meant.
it comes back around to going to the postseason after clinching the division. It just goes to show how dedicated he is, and he's not like some of these other owners that we've seen
He's
how they
not.
are, and yeah, and it's just he loves the fans love him, and he's always involved, and you always see him in those celebrations. I mean, you don't see him too much throughout the regular season, but postseason comes around, you see him,
Yeah.
and I just think it was a really special moment and a really special person for this organization.
Yeah, I agree. And there was a clip that WIP put out.
Mhm.
Um, and he was in studio in 2017. I don't know the exact date. They put the exact date on the video.
Yeah,
But it's him in studio. And mind you, this is when we're losing a lot of games. This is pre Bryce Harper. I don't
yeah,
know how many games we lost that season, but we lost a lot. And he was in there and he said, I want to bring a trophy here or I'm going to die trying.
yeah,
And every owner says crap like that all the time. But it's
yep.
always just it's just talk. That's all it is. This guy, he's committed, man.
Oh yeah,
He is 110% committed and I have no doubt that he's that committed to this team and to this organization. I mean, it's and being from the city that he grew up in, like John Middleton's from Philadelphia.
hmm,
Like, that's where the cigar company started with his family and, like, all that stuff, so, to me, it's like a fan is running the organization in
yeah,
my eyes. Like,
yeah, yeah,
they of course, they lose that fandom just a little bit, because like, business is
yeah,
business and things like that, but a fan is running this organization. He just
yeah.
happens to be a billionaire. Like, you know what I
Exactly,
mean? Like, he just
exactly.
happens to have the sources and the funding to get the job done. And it's like that. It's so cool to see because in our around the league news we're going to get to in a little bit. Like there are a lot of owners out there that are just disgusting and bad for the
Yeah,
game. But we're gonna get to that later.
for
Um,
sure.
and he's just not one of them. Like,
No,
and the idea that he said that in 2017, and it took 6 years to deliver on just on the division.
yeah,
Like that's special
it
because he
is.
didn't quit. He could have sold the team. He could like, you know what I mean? He could have sold the team when the iron was hot. He didn't though. He didn't.
Yeah,
And that's dedication. And like I said, a fan is running this organization. I'm fully convinced of that. And you can
yeah,
see him. He's up there in the 300 level, partying with the pandemic crew and all that stuff. Like
yeah,
he's out there. He makes himself known. It's public. Like When we
Yeah.
go get when this offseason, I know you don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up now. If we want Juan Soto, if he wants Juan Soto, he's going to do everything in his power to get Juan Soto. I know you don't want him, but guess what? He's coming.
Yeah, we'll see. But no, I mean, it is cool to see. And at the end of the day, as much as he's out here with the fans and stuff like that, he wants to see this team win. Like that's the main goal for him is like this team. I set this team up, him and gives Dombrowski some credit as well in this, this whole these last couple of years. They put this team together to go out and win a championship.
Yeah.
And speaking of Dombrowski, I saw in a post game on Monday. Some of the guys were out in the field, not in the locker room with their families, and you saw Dombrowski going up, saying stuff to the families and checking in on them, which was just cool to see. A guy like him, he's also been good for his organization as well. And we, as fans, put trust into those two guys to hopefully turn this team around. And they had the last couple of years, and now it's come to full circle of okay, we've won a division finally, the first step, and going into the postseason. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just those, Middleton. It's just it's special, man. It's gives you chills a little bit just because it's like he's in the locker room and he's just like, I want my trophy back, and then they just start
Yeah.
celebrating. It's
Like
just
Ron
like,
Thompson's like, I'm gonna bring up John, and you
yeah,
remember what he said, and he cuts him off, and he's like, I want my trophy back, and
like
everybody
it's
goes nuts. Like it
point
was
at him.
awesome. It was so cool.
It's great.
So
It was a
cool.
great moment. So yeah, it was fun day on Monday. They lost Tuesday. A little bit, I guess, the hangover game. They threw Taiwan out there, and he just I don't want to waste my breath on him at all. I don't want to
Who
talk about it.
cares?
So
It was the
yeah,
hangover
who
game.
cares? We're gonna act
I
like it didn't
watched it
happen.
for half an inning, and I said, not today, and I changed the channel.
I needed a break. I told you
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
I
watch
needed.
it.
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of baseball. I need a break.
Yeah.
Like
So
it's a lot.
and then Wednesday, they got the win against the Cubs, and the Brewers lost, so that meant they clinched a first round bye. So we're either going to be the 1 or the 2 seed, depending on the season finishes out with the Dodgers and all that type of stuff. And I have a question for you regarding that. As
Mhm.
things stand right now, I know we talked about it about a couple weeks ago, but which seed do we want at this point
I
when
don't
it
care.
comes to
I don't
bracket?
care. I don't care because if it was more set in stone, the bottom four, then
Mhm.
I'd care. I don't care now. It doesn't matter
Okay.
to me. Like
Okay.
it's and that's an easy answer, but
Yeah.
to me, it's like things can change. I mean, we're gonna get into it in a few minutes here. Um, but like we're gonna get into it on the other side of the ad read, but
Yeah.
like that Mets Braves series has major implications.
Yeah.
And like if one team wins a game in that doubleheader, I don't know which team it is,
Mhm.
the other game doesn't have to happen. Like it's very
Yeah.
odd, you know.
It is. Yeah.
But
Good.
I don't care because it's not set in stone, you know. If it was like these are going to be the bottom two seeds, and it was
Mhm.
like it was concrete, you either face this team or this team,
Yeah.
then I'd have more of an opinion. But I just don't.
Yeah. And I can see that. And I think, it goes into this discussion that I've heard over the last couple of days about like, oh, like, we really want to play this team or we want to play on this side of the bracket so we don't have to run into them. But it's like, listen, if we feel like this team is capable of winning a championship, they should be anybody that's in their path. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just going to be a cakewalk. Like you're going
No,
to
it's
have to
not.
play
That's what
tough
I'm saying.
teams.
Right.
Like, you know.
And we're gonna get into that when we have our playoff
Yep.
preview, but it's just like every is good this year. There's no Marlins.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
there's none of that. So I nervous,
Yeah. We'll see.
but it's
But
okay.
yeah, it was a good week, and we're NL East champs, baby. I mean, hey, what else can you say? Got the shirt on and everything.
Yeah, I had to get it. I didn't have a
Yeah, that's
choice.
fine.
I was like, I gotta, yeah,
Like I told you, though,
but
I'm not getting
yeah,
no gear until it says World Series champs. So that's just something I set in
yeah,
stone.
yeah,
So,
right.
do you need a new Philly sports T-shirt? Want to rep more Phillies apparel? Philly Goat is your way to go, and you can use the code BTBPod for 10% off your next order. Beyond the Bank is proud to be an affiliate with Philly Goat. As always, go Phils. And all right, so we are going to get into some around the league discussion. Some things have been going on. Felt like it was deserving to talk about it. It's important to talk about it because it involves what we were just talking about with John Middleton and how the A's have been struggling. And they're terrible, and the whole situation with their owner and the staying there and the fans, it's been a lot. So it seems
Yeah.
like a crazy situation.
Yeah. So I've been following this all year.
Mhm.
I mentioned it a couple um in a couple episodes in the beginning of the season, when they decided to move to Oakland
Yeah,
and things like that. And today, September 26th, marks the last home game at the Oakland Coliseum. Now that was home to the Raiders before they went to Vegas. It was home to the A's since 1968. I just can't imagine losing my team. Now, maybe it's because we're a big market, and I
yeah,
understand. Well, that'll never happen to us, so I can't
yeah,
really fathom it because they'll never take it from Philly. They just won't.
yeah,
Um, but Oakland's a decent sized market too. People don't understand. Like from the people I've seen, and I've interacted with people on Twitter and things like that. Like the MLB and John Fisher it's disgusting what they're doing, quite
yeah,
frankly. And some people want to blame the other owners, and I understand, whatever. But when you're 1 out of 29 or 1 out of 30 owners that this is proposed to, you're not going to be the guy. So I don't hold that. I don't hold like Dave Dombrowski or not Dave Dombrowski, John Middleton accountable for that at all. Like
mhm,
nothing like that. But like the idea that they haven't broken ground in Vegas yet, the
yeah,
idea that they may not be moving at all, like it's just such a joke. It is such a joke. And it's just sad because these people like that stadium has been home to the A's since 2 years before my dad was born. So like if like my like take that to California. If going to games and walking on the Bart Bridge, which is that bridge that leads to their
mhm,
stadium, um like taking that into games, that's the only stadium you know.
yeah,
Like that to me, you're taking that away from them.
mhm,
And like the stadium is just an absolute pile of crap.
yeah.
Like
It
it
is.
is. Like
It is.
but it's not a pile of crap. The memories and the people make it what it is, not
Mhm,
being a pile of crap. What when I say pile of crap, I'm talking about the vendors. I'm
yeah,
talking about they had to buy. I watched an interview with um an Oakland Coliseum vendor. He had to
mhm.
buy his own condiments and everything. That's not supply, dude. It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable,
It's
unbelievable.
disgusting. It's disgusting. Like it's just the things that have come out about John Fisher and everything else. He wrote a letter which was just BS.
Yeah,
I wish I could talk to every one of you individually. Well, guess what, dude? Like there was a guy on the news, on the Oakland News. It was like ABC 7, I think it was.
yeah,
He went off. He went off. Like that's
yeah,
their local news. He went off. He was like, "John, we've tried to interview you for years and you refuse. The only time you ever come out is when you want public funding. And all of a sudden you pop up in Las Vegas. We do reverse boycotts. The fans are here. The fans want you to stay and you don't want to do it because all
yeah.
you want to do is make an extra buck. It
All
makes
about
no
money,
sense.
man,
It
to
makes no
them.
sense. And I understand that this whole thing is a business. I get it. And I
Yeah,
don't expect every owner to be like John Middleton and you know whatever. But
yeah,
it's like, dude, the idea that you're taking this away from people for nothing, like just for money, it's ridiculous to me.
yeah,
When you have so much money as it is, like it blows my mind that he just thinks that's okay. You know, like it's like you're moving to Sacramento for 3 years. Guess what, buddy? You can't build a stadium in 3 years. That doesn't happen. It's
yeah,
not possible. It's not possible. Not in Vegas. That's for damn
exactly.
sure. Like
Yeah,
it just it blows my mind that he somehow thinks that this is okay and then has the balls to come out and say, "I wish I could talk to every one of you personally." No, you don't, because clearly you would have done it already.
yeah,
Like I just feel for those fans so much. And because of the passion that I have for my team, the passion you have for this team, like, I
Yeah.
can't imagine somebody ripping that out like that. A team
Yeah.
that was a team and a franchise that was selling out games 6 years ago in the playoffs,
Mhm.
in the ALDS. Like, I just it makes no sense. And Rob Manfred's on the hook for this. John Fisher's on the hook for this. All the it just like they were gonna let people buy, and people were trying to buy. They got a hush order that they couldn't say anything publicly. It's
Gosh.
insane.
Got to that point. Jeez.
Like
Yeah.
Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, not to make it about basketball, but
Yeah.
he got it done perfectly fine. Alleged
Yeah.
friend of John Fisher. Why don't you sell the team to him because he said he wanted to buy it, but you refuse. It's disgusting. I feel for those fans. My heart goes out to the Oakland fans.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, man. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
It's unfortunate. And I like you said, I can't even imagine that happening to us. I mean, if it did, it's just like, you love something so much and then it gets ripped away and you have no control over it. That's the toughest situation to be in. And it almost seems like in a situation of like, you know, there's so many crappy things going on, with this when it comes to the stadium, the team itself, trying to get good players, to come to the team. And it's like almost like I give up and like we're just gonna restart and just forget about everything else and the fans. And it's like, well, how about you just make a little bit of an improvement and show that you care, and then maybe things can get better. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's most, and like you said, it's about money sometimes and business and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, like, you know, sports and baseball in general is you know time for fans and specific people to get away from life things. And when you take that away from them, it it,
Yeah.
it just creates chaos and it just doesn't sit well
Yeah.
with a lot.
Yeah.
It's just it creates situations that didn't need to be created.
And this isn't and the funny part uh about like you mentioned the team not being that good. This A's team is not terrible. They've
No,
been
no, I'm not.
pretty
Yeah, I'm
decent all year.
just
I know you're not. No, I know what you were trying to say,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying like this wasn't the A's team of last year. Brett
Mhm.
Rooker hit 40 home runs.
Yeah.
Like Lawrence Butler has been unbelievable. Like
Mhm.
it just I mean, we know he's unbelievable because he hit 3 home runs against us in that
Yeah.
18-3 game. But like, it just to me, like, it's not like they're plucking the team from the actual stadium and they're building in the Bay Area and they're going to be local still. No,
Yeah.
they're getting pulled and going all the way to Las Vegas,
Yeah.
but not yet. They're going to go to Sacramento first, where it's the hottest part of the state.
Yeah.
Like, it just, dude, it's disgusting. It's the people that I've interacted with, the videos I've seen, and everything else. Like, Gabby keeps sending me TikToks of like people walking across the bridge and it's their last time going. This has been like the
Yeah.
last week. And I want to see all that stuff. And it's like it's just so sad. Cuz like
Yeah.
how would I react?
Oh, dude.
It wouldn't be good. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you that.
Well,
Like
and speaking of videos, did you see the one where the guy like they ripped the seats out of the ground or
yeah,
whatever? Or
yeah, see
that's crazy.
I was going to mention that every page that I've followed, like Last
Mhm.
Dive Bar and things like that, they've all said do not do that because there's
Yeah.
an independent league team called the Oakland Ballers going to play there next year. So they can't like I believe it's the Oakland Ballers going to play there next year. They were
Mhm.
like, "Hey, we'd kind of like to have seats," and all those people are like, "This is not what you're supposed to be doing."
No.
Like
No.
he
Doesn't make
doesn't own
anything
the
better.
stadium; he rents it. No, he doesn't even own the stadium. He rents it. So this does nothing to him. It does something to the ownership group that has to replace the seats. Now think about this. What if you purchase that seat for the next day's game?
Yeah.
It just kills
Yeah.
me, man.
It's an unfortunate situation, and
I feel for all the fans out there. It's just I'll never know what that's like, but I can guess and it wouldn't go well.
yeah, for sure. And then moving into some other around the league stuff. Mets Brave series that's happening. There were supposed to be games played today. I'm pretty sure,
Today and tomorrow.
and today and tomorrow, and they got postponed because of the possible hurricane that's going to be flying through Florida, and they didn't know if because it was supposed to be the series was supposed to be played in Atlanta, so you don't know if it's gonna be hitting over in that area.
Right.
But basically, it's gonna be a tough situation for the for the teams, especially the Mets. And listen, we won't talk about this situation with biasy and stuff like that. Put that aside for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, 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 for sure,
Because at the end of
for
the day,
sure.
it's like we want to
That's
see
not
all
what this
teams.
is right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we want to see them
Everybody
fairly.
deserves a fair shot. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
We want the Mets to screw themselves fairly. That's all.
yes, exactly. But so yeah, they got to postpone to like a double header on Monday. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And it's got a lot of implications when it comes to the playoffs. I'm reading a little bit of the article right now on MLB. But in one part of it, it says, and this was written by Mark Bowman and Anthony DiComo. They said this is not an optimal way to determine a postseason race. The Mets will travel to Milwaukee on Thursday and begin a 3-game series against the Brewers on Friday. They then would need to return to Atlanta on Monday. So, and then meanwhile, the Braves will remain in Atlanta for a 3-game series starting Friday against the Royals, who may have trouble getting to town with Hurricane Helene making its way towards Georgia. The whole thing is just is a shit show, and I know a lot of people were getting on Rob Manfred about it, and handling the situation, and it's just like, dude, this can get tough for them, Monday, and the playoffs start on Tuesday, so it's just kind of
Yeah.
like a weird situation, and who knows
Somebody
what's
said
gonna
that
happen.
they should play Philly as a neutral site so they
Yeah,
wouldn't have
nah,
to
nah,
travel
nah.
far. No, but like think about this.
No,
So
that'd be crazy.
absolutely hammered tweeted this out, and Gabby said it to me. Just this is so funny. So hold on, I gotta read this. Imagine Philly fans bought the tickets and just booed everyone nonstop, spending exorbitant amounts of money just to purely hate at a high level. It doesn't matter what happens. If you hit a home run, you get booed. If the other team hits a home run, guess what? They're getting booed too. You know how funny that would be? Oh, it would be hilarious, man.
Yeah, and when it comes to like playoff implications, specifically, it says both the Braves and Mets own the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks. The Mets would need to sweep Monday's twin bill to gain the tiebreaker over the Braves. So, the D-backs are still fighting for their lives. The Mets, Braves, all these teams, and it's just like,
Do we become Mets and Braves fans for a couple of days so the Diamondbacks get out of
oh,
the playoffs?
I don't know. It's dude. I'm just glad to not be in that spot. I
Oh
wouldn't be
yeah,
able
me
to
too.
handle that. My stress
Yeah,
level will be through the roof. So I
yeah.
just
Sorry, we won
thankful.
too many games for that. By the way, my 96 win prediction is looking pretty good. All we need
Hey,
is 2 out of 3 in Washington. That's all I'm saying.
okay. Hey, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. What do you think about this whole White Sox situation?
Oh, that whole situation. This is what I will say. I am thankful that I am not a White Sox fan. That's all I'm gonna say because dude, it's brutal over there, man. Brutal,
120 losses.
brutal, man. I couldn't. I just. Oh my gosh, just no effort. It seems like at all. I mean, I'm not saying that baseball players are going out there and just losing games on purpose, but like, my goodness,
Could have fooled me because it's looking rough, man.
it's just like, they just. I don't know, man. That's tough.
I
That's tough.
I just that owner is just terrible because it's
Yeah,
Jerry Reinsdorf. It's the guy that owns the Bulls and owned the Bulls when Jordan was there. And
probably sell the team. You got to.
no, he won't.
No.
Nope. Because he's gonna. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to like 3 or 4 baseball podcasts,
Yeah.
and with people who are involved in the league and guys just shooting the breeze like we do.
Yeah.
And somebody that I listened to said that they talk to people in the organization, and this is a guy who's involved in baseball and whatnot, and he's like actually connected with real people. And he said that the that he talked to his employees, and the employees of that team said the only way this changes is if something changes up top, because other than that, this is going to be our lives for a little while. And
Oh boy.
not wishing any ill will at all whatsoever. But it sounds like they're saying the only way this is going to change is if that guy dies, because he's like 90 plus now. Well, it's a crazy
Jeez.
thing to say,
It
but
is a
like
crazy thing.
that's really what they mean. And they're
Yeah.
not hoping for that at all. That was one
No.
of the things the guy said. He's like, they're not hoping for that whatsoever. But it just showed they're just saying that to say he's not going to sell the team. He has no plan to sell the team. This
Yeah,
is just what he's going to do, and that's that. And nobody can tell him any different. So
exactly. Hey,
it just, dude, thank God. You think they're going to lose 121 games? They're going to have to, right?
yeah, I think it's gonna happen. It's
They
just
won last, or is it tonight or was it last night? Tonight, I think it is. They can either, did you see
go ahead.
that or no? They can
Well, so
either, if they lose, they set the all-time record. If the
okay.
Angels lose, they set a franchise record with 96 losses.
Well, here you go. The White
Oh,
Sox are up right now, 7-0
are
in
you
the top of the eighth.
serious?
Yes.
Oh
So
my God,
so it won't
dude.
be happening tonight, I don't think, unless for some reason they just
You
blow up.
never know. It's the White Sox.
Exactly.
Dude, did you
Um.
see what they did to the Tigers? They're moving
Uh.
up Garrett Crochet's start one day so he could start the last game of the season to try and keep the Tigers out of the playoffs.
Tigers, man, they're making a little
Dude,
run,
a
man.
month ago they had like 1%, like 1.6% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah. And Tariq Skubal, I mean, just phenomenal pitcher. How do we make him a Philly? I mean,
Stop that.
just like I'll take Tariq Skubal over Juan Soto. Just saying now. I mean, just saying.
Well, I mean,
That'd be crazy. That would never happen.
yeah,
But
yeah.
hey,
I'd
never know.
take Juan Soto, but whatever.
Nah,
We're not going to do this now, but
no.
but
Do that for
no,
the
I
offseason.
mean, it's been a long week, but no ball today, thank God.
Yeah, a little bit of a break.
All right, and with that, we're going to go into the last Pete's Pick segment of the year, or of the season, rather, because we're probably not going to be doing that for playoffs. 'Cause that's going to be
Nah.
tough.
Yeah.
But we're going to go into the last one of the season. So what do you have?
All right, so you had the off day today, and then tomorrow we start our last regular season series against the Nationals in Washington for a 3-game series. We start out with Ranger on the mound tomorrow, and then we have Wheeler and Nola on the next 2 days. I'm gonna say we take 2 out of 3 from Washington. I know it seems like we think that the teams should be like, all right, well, we got the first round bye and then the division, so we're kind of just gonna coast it. But like, I feel like the team will come out and try to get a little bit of a rhythm, just to kind of head off with a good note. They'll have the little break and then be back October 5th. But I saw somebody talk about it earlier with the pitching and stuff and saying like, oh, well, why don't we just sit Wheeler and Nola, and not just give them extra
No,
rest. But Wheeler's talked about it, and I think Nola might have said something that it's just like they don't need the extra rest. So I mean, if you pitch them 4 or 5 innings, that's fine. You don't need to have them go, a full game, the pitch complete game. It's just, and I think Thompson talked about that. He's not going to have them in too long. So I mean, listen, they need to get some work in and just create a little bit of a rhythm before the season ends. So I think it would be good for them to do that. And then hopefully, with the lineup, they also create some momentum and then, go into the break and then get ready for the playoffs. So,
yeah,
but yeah, those are my picks for the last regular series of the
wow,
season.
man, kind of
Yeah,
flew by, didn't it?
it did.
It
It
went
did. It
fast.
did fly by.
I remember just being in like February, being like watching the Super Bowl, like I cannot wait for baseball.
Yeah, cannot wait. Cannot wait.
But now here we are.
Um, yeah, here we are. It's like I said, we still got the 3 games left. But by that time, when we'll be shooting our next episode, getting ready for the playoffs, which special announcement, we are going to be doing our next episode live. So that means we will probably be having some type of link to send to all of our listeners. You'll be able to join live with us. Hopefully everything goes well, praying everything goes well. We're thinking about doing it at 7 o'clock on Sunday. The last game
At
of the
night.
season, yeah, at night, 7 p.m. Sorry, I got to clarify that.
I'm
7
just saying,
p.m.
I.
No, I know you never know, but the game should be over by then, so we'll be ready to talk about. We'll probably say a little bit about the whole season in general, but then we're really going to do a look ahead going into the postseason. Maybe talk a little bit about other playoff matchups if set by then, but
Yeah. As of 53 minutes ago, the Mariners got eliminated. I just saw it on
wow.
Twitter.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
The
we'll see
the
Seattle
Red
this year.
Sox got well, yeah. The Red Sox got they clinched time with friends and family for the offseason.
There you go. I saw that.
last
That was
night.
fun. That was wild.
Those graphics are too good, man.
Yeah.
Too good.
But yeah, so we'll make another announcement on Instagram just to remind you guys. We'd really appreciate you joining and watching live with us, or not with us, but I mean,
Yeah,
listen to us talk live, whatever.
Right.
On Sunday, it should be a cool experiment. Probably the only time we're gonna do it this year. I don't know about playoffs. We'll probably just
everything moves at 100 miles an hour in the
exactly.
playoffs, so
we'll still do episodes, but not live. But we just want to try this, going in, to next
see what
year.
the participation is like and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it should be a really cool thing. We're excited for it. Should be fun. But yeah, so that will be, the last regular season episode on Sunday night. And like you were talking about earlier, time moved by really fast this season, and we're getting ready for Red October, and it's just like it's crazy to think about, man. And
I can't wait.
It's insane. We're excited about it. We're gonna talk about it next week, and
a week from Saturday there will be playoff baseball at Citizens Bank Park.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait,
dude.
I can't
wait,
need it,
man.
I don't even care if I'm gonna be there. Like, even if I wasn't there, I'd be ecstatic no matter what.
Exactly. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm either gonna be at Citizens Bank Park, I'll be at Xfinity Live. So
maybe we can go around the lots that day and do a little man on the street kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
so we'll see.
Listen, I'd be down with that, man.
Right.
I mean, get content. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's have to.
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, it's time to lock in, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm done with the vacations. That's done with for now. And now it's like
the weather's getting a little cooler.
Yeah. I'm transferring into the Red October mode right now. You know what I'm saying? Just gotta, that's all my mind is thinking about.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
But yeah, so per usual though, as always, shout out to the listeners. Make sure to keep hitting download button when you can. And YouTube, keep running the views, subscribe, like, comment, all that type of stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I was gonna say this off air, but I'm possibly thinking about dropping this tonight instead of tomorrow. Yeah. Hey, if I get edited in time, then we'll get some people listening tonight and then tomorrow before the game, hopefully. So quick turnaround.
Early access.
Yeah, early access. So we'll see how editing goes. But yeah.
Sure.
So
all right, go Phils.
Go Phils and unleash champs, baby. We out. Peace.